Woodward Sports Network, Jeff Iafredi, Sam Flannel, Detroit Kool-Aid, Kenji, JB, the entire crew's here, and we have a very, very special guest. I'm excited to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, MicroMike. You can catch him, again, on his own YouTube channel. Look at that, Mike. How you doing? Look at Mike. You can catch him on his YouTube channel, of course, at Lions Today, Lions Talk by Chat Sports. He does great content. You can follow him on X, at MicroMike85. And I want to start off by saying, how you doing today, Mike? I know it's early for you. How you doing?
It is early in the morning, but I am living the dream back on Woodward Sports. It's been a minute, but it feels really good to be in the middle.
No, man, we're happy to have you. I want to ask you, Mike, because AG had his press conference yesterday, and I want some of your thoughts on just the whole fire AG or the AG criticism stuff. Where are you at with it? Because I think AG definitely deserves criticism. I don't think I'm blind to that. But the reality is, Mike, the personnel on this defense, we can't just ignore it either. What are your thoughts on the whole AG storyline this year?
Look, this defense has multiple problems. It's not just one thing. It's not just AG. It's a lack of personnel, and that is players being injured. It's lack of players whom you drafted, like a Levi Muzurike, inability to take that next step, and it is scheme. And so when you have all three coming together, you have the defense that you see right now, ever since the Ravens game, has really taken a massive dip. The Lions got to get this thing together. They got to put players in better positions to succeed, like a Jerry Jacobs and a Kirby Joseph, who I think is being misused. But they also must get pressure on the quarterback. That is where the big problem is. And when you have a guy in AARP Bruce Irvin coming off the couch who can get a sack, it really shows the problems with Romeo Okwara, with Julian Okwara, Joshua Pascal, lack of development. These guys got to hit home. You got to help out this defensive line. If you want to make this defense look better, sack the quarterback. That definitely will help.
No question.
And Mike, do you see a pathway to this defense improving drastically by the end of the year to where they can be to where the Lions can be more formidable in the playoffs? Or do you think this defense is going to ultimately cost them and maybe give the Lions a quicker exit in the playoffs than we might like?
I personally believe this defense will get better in the offseason. I don't think you're going to be able to get players who is going to come on this defensive line and just get after it. Romeo Okwara, Julian Okwara, the guys I just talked about, haven't done it all year. So what makes me believe that they're going to do it in the playoffs and at the end of the season? I think that is a legit lack of personnel. They must upgrade that position. The defense can improve for sure, but to take that next step and to compete with the Dallas Cowboys or the San Francisco 49ers, you're going to have to get a better players at the defensive line and maybe even another cornerback out there to really make this defense a contending defense. I think they'll host a playoff game. I think they'll win a playoff game, but after that, I think that's where the trouble is really going to come into play.
Yeah, we're in lockstep there, Mike. I want to ask you, at least for this game this weekend, the Chicago Bears coming off a bye week. They had an ugly win last week, and we know the problems they've kind of posed for the Lions at Ford Field. We saw it, Jared Goff turn the football over, something that we haven't seen a ton of, at least in Jared's career, over the last couple of weeks. Last week he kept it clean, but the last two prior weeks, you've just been struggling to take care of the football. I want your kind of expectations for this weekend and your confidence level the Lions will escape Chicago with a victory.
You know, I think it's going to be a close game because it's an NFC North showdown. The Bears are better than what they started the season. With that said, I also don't believe Jared Goff in this offense and special teams going to do 4 turnovers in this game, and that's really what led to a close game. The odds of that happening seems extremely unlikely, especially after last week and their ability to stop that. But I think it's going to be a dogfight for sure. You're going against Chicago, that their defense has improved and they can make stops. They've shown it so far this season. With that said, them throwing the football is a problem, but they got Justin Fields who runs the football like a running back. So, look, I think it's going to be a close game, but the Lions ultimately win.
Yes. Mike, I want to talk a little bit more about the matchup with the Bears. What is something that the Bears do specifically that could give the Lions problems and maybe did give them problems in their first matchup at Ford Field?
Kicking a dead horse is what we are good at here in Detroit, and that is Justin Fields running the football as a running back quarterback. Yeah. He has destroyed us. He's put up massive 100-yard games. The Lions' inability to stop the dual threat quarterback has been a problem. I think it's going to continue. Why? Because we don't have the personnel and we refuse to make adjustments, knowing the fact that this guy runs. So they're going to run the football, especially with 12-mile-per-hour winds, and there could be some snow and stuff like that going on. So they're going to use his legs, and that's going to hurt the Lions' defense in this game. But still, we are the better football team. I think we ultimately win.
Yeah, and you brought up the inclement weather, and I mentioned earlier I think this game is going to kind of ride on the shoulders of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I want your take on kind of the injuries and how that impacts this game. Frank Ragnow went down, which, again, it's significant. Ali McNeil's not going to be there. Could you talk about that without Frank Ragnow, your confidence level that the Lions, because they were able to run the football against the Bears at Ford Field, they just got down, and again, they had to bail on the run a little bit there. Your thoughts on the run game and kind of the importance of it this week, even without a guy like Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers in the game?
Extremely important to run the football. And guess what? Chicago's defense is really good. They allow 79 yards per game. That's first in the NFL. And us not having Frank Ragnow, we've seen what happened last week. As soon as we lost Frank Ragnow, we could not run in between the tackles, and that's going to be a problem in this game. Now, I trust Graham Glasgow. I think he's good when he goes from any position, especially the center. But Sorsdale, whoever's going to be that right guard, really gives me a problem. And I don't think Penei Sewell trusts Sorsdale as much as you would like to see an offensive line trust the man next to them. I think that's a problem. You're seeing the regression a little bit. It's going to be hard to run the football. Now, I do like Ben Johnson's ability to scheme up runs, i.e. Jameson Williams with that last play last week where he scored that touchdown. I think they'll do plays like that, jet sweeps, some end arounds, and that will help out. But it's going to be tough to run between the tackles on Sunday.
Yeah, so despite all of the things that the Lions struggled with this year and recently, they're still a 9-3 football team.
Yep.
And as the season has gone along, I've tried to adopt the mentality of as long as the Lions keep winning, they can maybe even put themselves in position for like a 2 seed, and they're going to win the division. I think that's pretty much already wrapped up. But I'm seeing some negativity from some fans and maybe thinking that this Lions team should have maybe made a move at the deadline. Maybe there's a ceiling on what they can accomplish. So what is the right way to look at it? Should we be happy as Lions fans that they're going to have the best season that they've had probably since 1991? Or should we be disappointed that this could have been a year where they could have done more, but it's not looking like they will? Because I don't think they can beat the Eagles or the 49ers or maybe even the Cowboys in the playoffs myself.
Look, if you would have said Lions going to be 9-3 at this point, myself included, and I think a lot of Lions fans would be very, very happy. I think we're just worried a little bit, right? We want to make sure we win the NFC North, want to get a playoff game, and it's not there yet, so we're worried. We want this team to win. There's been fans that's been fans for 50, 60 years, and they've seen it all too much where it's failed at the end. And I don't think they're going to fail at the end, but I understand their concerns and their worries. But you're right, we're 9-3. This is a great and a fun season. This is awesome. I mean, getting 9 wins at this point is a great feeling, and it makes you all fuzzy inside. But with that said, look, I think this I think this team absolutely is having a good season, and it's not fully there yet. You know, we remember that Brad Holmes took this team over, and it was booty cheeks. It was terrible. What Patricia did to this regime and Quinn did to this regime should be going to jail for it. And they're slowly getting it back there. And now, look, Dan Campbell, out of 3 years, 2 winning seasons. We're looking to win the NFC North right now. So the world's not falling. The sky's not falling. And this team is going to be a good team for many, many years. So enjoy the ride. We got a couple more games to go.
Yeah, you brought up what Brad and Dan walked into, which I would agree is booty cheeks. You are spot on with that, MicroMike. It is booty cheeks. What about the Coach of the Year race? Because me and Sam had this debate yesterday, and Dan Campbell's been the favorite all year, but then you have a DeMeco Ryans with a rookie quarterback and what they've been doing. You have a Shane Steichen with the Colts and what he's been doing with Gardner Minshew Mania. Where are you at with Dan Campbell this year? Is it his award to lose? You think a guy like DeMeco or Shane Steichen, they've been doing something so impressive, they might kind of surpass Dan in the race? Because I believe it's Dan's award to lose. I do, Mike.
I think DeMeco and Dan, they should be both at the very top. What they're doing over there in Houston is just amazing. CJ Stroud has looked phenomenal. They took over a really bad team, and now they potentially could win their division or definitely make a playoff run. But I think it's got to be Dan Campbell's at this point. You took a team over that was horrible, and now in 2 seasons, your winning season this year, you're 9-3. You're a half game out from the number 1 seed. The Detroit Lions are the talk of the town. You don't do this without the kneecap-biting cannibal Dan Campbell to come in here and change the trajectory of this franchise for not just now, but the future. I thought last year he should be in the conversation. This year, I think he should win. He absolutely should. I don't think many coaches can come into Detroit and change what he did.
Yes.
I mean, this is a special job. D'Amico Ryan, I love him, but I don't know if he could even do that. Bill Belichick, look, I hate the Patriot way. He's a good coach. I don't think he could do that. It takes somebody of Dan Campbell and a former player, somebody with the intensity, the emotions that he brings to change the trajectory of the Detroit Lions franchise.
And one last question, Mike, because I want your take on this, because it seems like there's been a split in the fan base with the whole Aiden Hutchinson thing. And I believe that, I'm not blind, and me and Sam have this conversation, that he needs help. That's very clear. If you have a guy who offensive lines have to account for besides Aiden, of course it's going to make Aiden better. And I do believe sacks at times are kind of a timing thing. But with Aiden this year, some would say he's having a great year despite not having the sacks, the amount of sacks people expect him to have. Others would say, cool, pressures are awesome, but get sacks. Where are you at with the whole Aiden thing and just kind of his year he's had so far?
He needs to get more sacks. I mean, when you draft a guy with the second pick, with that said, is he a bust? No, I don't. I'm in more in the middle here. Yeah. He's done some things that are really good. Obviously, the pressures, and he's good at getting turnovers. That's something that other edge rushers are not as good as Aiden Hutchinson. Miraculously gets an interception quite a bit, or a sack fumble at the very end. That's something that he does. But even if you ask Aiden Hutchinson right now, he says, yeah, I got to play better. Yeah. You know, it doesn't help when he doesn't have any help on the other side. But again, he's a second pick in the draft. He is a high player. He can get better, and I think he will get better. He's not a bust. Wait till he gets some help on the edge. Wait till next year when they actually got some other pass rushers. You'll see Aiden Hutchinson's numbers rise.
Man, great stuff, Mike. We appreciate you. Hopefully, man, in the future we can have you on at least once a week. We can have you preview some of these Lions games. You do a great job. If you guys want to catch Mike, you can. YouTube, Lions Talk by Chat Sports. The man's crushing it. One of the best in the business. We appreciate you, Mike. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, take it easy, fellas. Go Lions.
Hell yeah, go Lions. There you have it, MicroMike, the man, the myth, the legend. We got to get him back, man. He's great. He really is, and he's hilarious. But before we go to break here, I got to tell you about our friends, or you got to tell you about our friends.